Here we are just the day after Christmas, and we have this celebration of the feast of St. Stephen, the first martyr in the church, the first one whose blood was shed for Christ. All that we know about St. Stephen is in the Acts of the Apostles, chapters 6 and 7. And it says in there that the apostles became concerned because they were spending a lot of time taking care of the poor and the widows and the children, and that they were neglecting their duties in preaching the word. And so they decided to choose some men to ordain as deacons, and that would be their duty to take care of the poor and to be men of prayer and also to teach. And so among them were Stephen. There were 7 that they chose. And Stephen, it says here, he was a man of great wisdom, and the spirit with which he spoke was incredible. Stephen was so filled with his love for Christ and so convinced of the truth of Jesus and all that he taught, that he stood up publicly in the crowd, and he debated with these men who were challenging his thinking. And of course, they were confounded. They became angry because they couldn't answer what he was saying. And instead, they became angry with him, and of course, they threw him out of the city and stoned him to death. But with Stephen, he was saying that he looked up into the heavens and he saw Jesus sitting at the right hand of the Father and all the angels with him. That was the image that he saw before he died. And then he said, Father, forgive them. He did die just as Jesus did. He was misunderstood. He was condemned like Christ was. And yet from the cross, as Jesus said, forgive them. They know not what they're doing. Stephen said the same thing. He forgave his persecutors before he died. What a beautiful way to die, with love of God in your heart and mind and forgiveness on your lips. So we have a great witness that many would be called to defend the truth. The world finds it difficult to believe who Jesus is. And yet you and I are so gifted because we have been given the gift of faith, just like St. Stephen. And we know the truth, and we accept it with all of our hearts. And all that we want to do is share it with others. And so it's mixed emotion to celebrate the martyrdom today, right after the birth of Jesus, such a joyful celebration. But isn't that what life is about? That Christ comes into us, comes into our hearts and minds like he did St. Stephen, leading us to him in glory. Let us stand and offer our prayers and petitions.